Mom, you need to leave. That's what my daughter Jessica said the night she got her promotion. No hug. No celebration. No champagne clink. Just her standing in the doorway of the house I raised her in, heels still clicking from the company party, face tight with disgust. I blinked. Leave? What are you talking about? She crossed her arms, her new gold badge still pinned to her blazer. You can't stay here anymore. You don't fit the image I'm building. The image? I laughed, short and sharp. Jessica, this is our home. No, she snapped. This is my home now. My colleagues might stop by. My boss could come over. I can't have them seeing you sitting around like some reminder I grew up poor. I've worked too hard to look successful. The word stung worse than a slap. I've given you everything. She cut me off, voice rising. And now you're holding me back. You don't understand the corporate world. Perception is everything. If they think I'm dragging my mother around like baggage, they won't take me seriously. I stared at her, stunned. I'm your mother, not baggage. Not tonight, you're not. Her hand was already on the doorknob, pulling it open. Pack your things. I want you gone before Monday. The neighbors across the street paused, watching from their porch as if they'd heard the raised voices. Jessica noticed, her jaw tightening. She stepped closer, her voice dropping into a hiss. Don't make a scene. Just go. I whispered. You're ashamed of me. I'm realistic. She snapped. You don't belong in the life I'm building. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from, because my daughter, the one I raised alone after her father died, looked me in the eye the night of her big promotion and told me I wasn't worthy of standing beside her. I steadied my voice. Jessica, everything you have, you got because I sacrificed. I worked 2 jobs. I skipped meals. I didn't ask you to. She fired back. That was your choice. And now this is mine. I reached for her arm. Don't do this. She jerked away, eyes flashing. You can't tell me what to do anymore. I'm the one with the title now. I'm the one people respect. Not you. My chest ached, but the words wouldn't come. She stepped back, gesturing toward the stairs. Go pack, or I'll have your things moved out for you. The neighbors' whispers carried faintly. Jessica forced a smile and waved at them like nothing was wrong, then slammed the door shut. The sound echoed through the house, and I stood frozen in the hallway, staring at the photos on the wall, her graduation, her first job offer, her first apartment. Every moment I'd been proud of her. Every moment she now wanted erased. Jessica's voice cut down from the stairs, sharp and impatient. Did you hear me? Pack your bags. I don't want to repeat myself again. As I gripped the banister to keep my knees from giving out, I climbed the stairs slowly, every step heavier than the last. Jessica's heels clicked behind me like a metronome counting down my time left in this house. When I reached my bedroom, she pushed the door wider and crossed her arms. You don't need everything. Just take the essentials. I'll have movers deal with the rest. I turned to her. Essentials? Jessica, this is my room. My life. Every piece of furniture in here, I bought it. That dresser? I saved months for it. That quilt? I stitched it myself. Her face stayed cold. That was your past. I'm focused on my future. I shook my head slowly. You don't even hear yourself. She walked over to my closet and yanked the doors open, shoving a suitcase into my hands. Clothes, toiletries, papers. That's all. Don't drag this out. I stood still, gripping the suitcase but not moving. Jessica, this isn't you. She looked me dead in the eye. This is exactly me. You don't get to define me anymore. The silence stretched. My hands trembled as I started pulling clothes off hangers, folding them mechanically. My eyes burned, but I refused to let her see tears. She hovered near the door, checking her phone, her voice sharp. Hurry up. I've got people coming over tomorrow. I don't want them seeing you here. I glanced at her. People? Your coworkers? She smiled faintly. Smug. Yes. Some of the leadership team. They'll be impressed when they see I have my own place. Clean. Modern. No baggage. The word hit again. I shoved another blouse into the suitcase. So that's all I am now? Baggage? She didn't answer. The zipper screeched as I closed the suitcase. My hand shook as I lifted it, dragging it toward the hall. Jessica followed, her phone still in her hand. You should call a cab. I don't want your old car in the driveway tonight. I froze. My car is old. Yet. But it's mine. I paid for it. I used that car to drive you to school. To interviews. She interrupted. Eyes rolling. You never stop reminding me what you did. Do you want a medal? 'Cause I don't. The words sliced deeper than she knew. Downstairs. I set the suitcase by the door. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, filling the silence. Jessica glanced at it. Impatient. Well, are you calling the cab or do you expect me to? I straightened. Don't bother. I'll walk. Her brows shot up. Walk? With that suitcase? In the dark? Yes. My voice was steady this time. She shrugged. Fine. Your choice. She opened the door wide. Good night. Mom. The word mom sounded more like an insult than a name. The cold air hit me as I stepped onto the porch. The suitcase wheels bumped down the steps awkwardly. Across the street. The neighbors were still outside, whispering. Mrs. Miller called softly. Margaret. Are you all right? Jessica's voice cut sharp from behind me. She's fine. Just visiting family. I turned to glare at her. Don't lie for me. Jessica smirked faintly. It's not for you. It's for me. Then she shut the door. The slam echoed down the street. Mrs. Miller hurried across the lawn. Margaret. What happened? I shook my head. It's nothing. Just a change. Her eyes softened. She pushed you out. Didn't she? I swallowed hard, gripping the suitcase handle tighter. It's complicated. Before she could say more, 2 cars slowed down. Co-workers of Jessica's from the party. They rolled their windows down, grinning. Hey Jess. Great job tonight. Jessica opened the door again, waving at them with a dazzling smile. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without the team. The men glanced at me, then at my suitcase. One whispered, Is that her mom? Jessica laughed lightly, brushing them off. Just a relative visiting. Leaving now. The word stabbed. Just a relative. Not her mother. The men nodded politely, then drove off. Jessica gave me one last cold look. Better hurry before more people see. Then she shut the door again. Mrs. Miller sighed. Come on. Margaret. Let me at least call you a ride. I shook my head. No. I'll manage. Dragging the suitcase down the street, I felt the stairs prickling from behind curtains. Every porch light seemed brighter. Every whisper louder. My daughter's laughter drifted faintly from the house, mixed with the sound of music starting up again. Kept walking. My feet heavy. My chest hollow. Until the house was out of sight. When I finally reached the corner, my phone buzzed. A message from Jessica. Don't come back. I stared at the screen, the glow harsh against the night. My thumb hovered, trembling. Before I shoved the phone back into my pocket and tightened my grip on the suitcase handle, stepping off the curb as a car's headlights swept across me. The elevator groaned as it dragged me up to the 5th floor. My suitcase wheels scraped against the metal as I pulled it inside. The walls smelled faintly of old paint and fried food from someone's late-night dinner. Nothing like the polished marble of Jessica's new world. When the doors slid open, I stepped into the dim hallway. The carpet was worn thin. The overhead lights flickered. I unlocked my door, pushed it open, and set the suitcase down with a thud. The silence hit me first. No music. No chatter. No heels clicking across the floor. Just me and the hum of the refrigerator. I sank onto the couch, the springs squeaking under my weight. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Jessica. Don't contact me at work either. Keep your distance. My chest tightened. I pressed the phone face down on the coffee table. For a long minute, I just sat there, staring at the peeling wallpaper, the shadows stretching across the room. Then I stood and walked to the old wooden cabinet in the corner. I opened the drawer, pulling out a battered manila folder. My fingers traced the edges before I opened it. Inside, neat stacks of papers, each stamped and signed, each bearing the company's name. Carter Industries, the very company Jessica worked for, the one she thought she'd clawed her way into alone. I whispered to myself, "You forgot who carried you here. Jessica." The top sheet bore the seal of the board. Majority shareholder, Margaret Carter. I remembered the day my husband's lawyer slid the documents across the desk years ago. He wanted you secure. The man had said, "These shares are your future." I hadn't touched them much since then. I'd let the company run, collected the dividends, and poured everything else into Jessica's education, her rent, her clothes, her career. She thought her rise was hers alone. The papers in my hands told a different story. I stood in the dim light, flipping through the pages. Board minutes, investment summaries, signatures, my name, again and again. A knock rattled the door. I quickly slid the folder under a stack of magazines before opening it. It was Mrs. Miller, the neighbor who had seen everything earlier. She held a plastic container. "I thought you might need dinner. You didn't look well." I tried to smile. "Thank you." She stepped inside, glancing around my small apartment. "This place is too small for you." I shrugged. "It's enough." She set the food on the counter, then looked at me carefully. "What happened tonight? Really?" I hesitated, then said softly, "My daughter thinks I don't fit in her world anymore." Mrs. Miller frowned. "After everything you've done for her?" I laughed bitterly. She told me I was baggage. The word hung heavy in the air. Mrs. Miller shook her head. "Margaret, that girl doesn't know who she's dealing with." I glanced toward the cabinet, where the folder was hidden. My voice dropped. "No, she doesn't." She followed my gaze but didn't ask. Instead, she patted my arm. "Eat something. Rest. Tomorrow will look different." After she left, I locked the door and pulled the folder back out. I sat at the table, spreading the papers wide. The ink caught the dim light, sharp and undeniable. I whispered, almost to the empty room, "You wanted me gone from your house, Jessica. But you forgot I own the walls of the place you work." I traced my signature on the last page. The ink pressed deep into the paper. Then my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Jessica. It was an email notification from Carter Industries. Board meeting scheduled for next week. Attendance required for majority shareholders. I stared at the screen, my hand tightening around the phone. My lips curved into a faint smile. The room was silent except for the buzz of the fridge, until the sound of my pen scratching across the paper as I wrote a note to myself. Attend. Do not stay silent this time. While the folder lay open across the table, and the night pressed against the window, the banquet hall glittered with light. Chandeliers sparkled. Waiters in black vests glided between tables, and a jazz trio played near the stage. I stood near the back, close enough to hear, far enough to be invisible. Jessica was at the center of it all. My daughter, in a red dress that caught every eye, with a champagne flute in her hand and a circle of colleagues around her. She laughed, loud and confident, tossing her hair back like she'd been born to stand there. One of the executives lifted his glass. To Jessica Carter, the youngest department head this company has ever seen. Applause broke out. Glasses clinked. Jessica raised hers high. "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without my amazing team." Her voice carried. Strong. Sharp. And yet not mine. Someone asked from the crowd. "So, Jessica, who supported you most on the way here? Who believed in you first?" I held my breath. Jessica smiled, tilting her head. "Honestly, myself. I built everything from scratch. No one handed me a thing." Laughter and nods of approval followed. The words hit like a stone. Another colleague chimed in. Not even family. Parents? Mentors? Jessica's smile tightened. My father passed early. My mother, she wasn't really part of it. I did this alone. My chest burned. The executive chuckled. That makes it even more impressive. Self-made. Rare these days. Jessica's grin widened. Exactly. I gripped the strap of my purse tighter. Nails digging into the leather. Every sacrifice. Every night I worked double shifts. Every bill I juggled just to pay her tuition, and she erased it in one sentence. She raised her glass again. To independence. To building your own name without anyone holding you back. The room echoed to independence. Turn. Slipping closer to the side door. Not wanting anyone to see my face. But just as I moved, I heard another voice. Jessica. Is it true your mother came to the party last night? Jessica's jaw tensed for a second before she let out a laugh. Oh. Her. Just a relative visiting. She doesn't live with me anymore. The group chuckled. One whispered. Good for you. Nothing worse than dragging dead weight. I stopped cold. My back pressed against the wall. Jessica leaned in closer to them. Exactly. You can't rise if you're tied down. The words sliced deeper than anything she'd said at home. Someone asked, will she be at the board meeting? I heard shareholders sometimes show up. Jessica laughed again. This time sharper. No. She wouldn't understand anything that happens in there. That's my world now. The circle laughed with her. I slipped out through the side door. The music muffled as it closed behind me. The night air hit cool against my face. I pulled my phone out. My hand still shaking, and reread the board's email. Attendance required for majority shareholders. I whispered to myself, you think I don't belong in your world, Jessica. But next week, I'll be sitting at the head of the table you're trying so hard to impress. I shoved the phone back into my purse, my steps quickening down the empty sidewalk. The sound of Jessica's laughter still echoing faintly in my ears as I walked toward the streetlight. The boardroom smelled of fresh coffee and polished wood. A long table stretched down the center, lined with executives in dark suits. Leather chairs squeaked as they shifted, whispering in low tones before the meeting began. I walked in quietly, folder tucked under my arm. Heads turned, some faces polite, some surprised. The chairman glanced up from his notes. Mrs. Carter. I nodded. Margaret Carter. Majority shareholder. The room shifted, whispers rising, but quickly fell silent when the chairman cleared his throat. And then I saw her. Jessica. Sitting halfway down the table. Her new badge gleaming on her blazer. Her smile froze the second she spotted me. Mom. Her voice cracked. Just enough for those closest to hear. I slid into an empty chair near the head. Good morning, Jessica. Her jaw tightened. What are you doing here? I laid the folder on the table. Attending. I was invited. A few executives exchanged looks. One cleared his throat. She's on the list. Majority shareholders are always welcome. Jessica forced a laugh. Brittle and thin. There must be some mistake. My mother doesn't, she isn't. I flipped the folder open, sliding the top page forward. Signature. Shares. 41%. The room murmured louder. The chairman leaned forward. That's correct. Mrs. Carter holds the largest stake. She's entitled to attend. Jessica's face drained of color. She pressed her hands flat on the table. Why didn't you ever say anything? I met her eyes. As I never needed to until now. The silence grew heavy. The chairman began the agenda, talking about quarterly reports, projections, mergers. I listened, jotting notes. Jessica kept stealing glances at me, her shoulders stiff, her pen tapping too fast against her notebook. At one point, an executive presented a slide showing her department's growth. He gestured toward Jessica. Under her leadership, numbers are up 15%. Applause circled the table. Jessica smiled, regaining her footing. Thank you. My team worked hard, but I set the vision. The chairman nodded. Impressive. Then his gaze flicked toward me. Mrs. Carter, any thoughts? I leaned forward. Yes. Growth is good. But I see budget overruns here. I pointed to a line on the report. Excessive travel expenses. Client entertainment far above the threshold. The room hushed. All eyes turned to Jessica. Her smile faltered. That's standard. Building relationships requires investment. I kept my voice calm. Building relationships shouldn't drain profit margins. You can impress without overspending. A few heads nodded. Jessica's cheeks flushed. You don't understand how this works. I met her eyes steadily. I understand numbers. Numbers don't lie. The chairman scribbled something in his notes. Jessica saw it. Her voice rising slightly. We can't grow without risk. That's what leadership means. I replied softly but firmly. Leadership also means accountability. The room murmured again. Some executives nodding. Others watching Jessica with new scrutiny. She tried to laugh, but it cracked. This isn't fair. You're making me look bad. I leaned back in my chair. I'm making sure the company stays strong. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up her glass of water, sipping quickly. The chairman cleared his throat again. Let's move on. But the shift in the room was clear. The shine Jessica had walked in with was dimming. I glanced at her once more. She avoided my eyes, her pen still tapping too fast. When the meeting ended, chairs scraped back, papers shuffled, voices rose again. Executives shook my hand as they passed. Pleasure to have you here. Mrs. Carter. We're glad you joined us. Jessica lingered at the far end, waiting until the room thinned. Then she stormed over, her voice low and sharp. You humiliated me. I held my folder tight. I told the truth. She stepped closer, her eyes blazing. Stay out of this. This is my career, not yours. I met her stare without flinching. Your career rests on the company, and the company rests on me. Her lips parted, but no words came. She spun on her heel, her hair whipping over her shoulder, and stormed toward the door, shoving it open so hard it banged against the wall as her voice echoed back into the room. The day after the board meeting, my phone buzzed constantly, calls from numbers I didn't recognize, emails marked urgent, requests for lunch meetings. Word had spread. Margaret Carter wasn't just Jessica's mother. She was the one holding the largest stake in the company. But Jessica wasn't going to let me enjoy a single moment of it. That evening, I passed by the conference room on the second floor, where the glass walls didn't hide much. Jessica was inside with 3 managers, their heads bent close, their voices sharp. She didn't see me at first. Listen, she hissed, pointing at the table. She doesn't belong here. My mother knows nothing about corporate life. She's just lucky. We can't let her dictate decisions. One manager nodded. She caught everyone off guard. But maybe it'll blow over. Jessica slammed her palm on the table. Not if I have anything to say about it. I worked for years to get here. I won't let her walk in and steal the spotlight. Another manager leaned in. What do you suggest? Jessica lowered her voice, but I could still catch the words through the glass. We isolate her. Keep her out of key discussions. Block her from seeing the reports. If she doesn't have information, she can't interfere. My grip tightened on the railing outside. One man frowned. But she's majority shareholder. She has rights. Jessica's voice sharpened. Then we make her feel irrelevant. Smile to her face. Dismiss her ideas behind her back. Eventually, she'll stop showing up. The group nodded slowly. I pushed the door open. The hinges squeaked. Silence slammed into the room. 4 pairs of eyes snapped to me. Jessica's face went pale, then flushed red. Mom, what are you doing here? I stepped in slowly, my voice calm, walking past and listening. The managers looked down at their papers, suddenly fascinated by their notes. Jessica forced a laugh. We were just strategizing. Don't take it the wrong way. I closed the door behind me. No. I'll take it exactly the way you meant it. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't answer. I leaned forward slightly. You can try to box me out. But remember this, my name isn't on your paycheck. Jessica. The company's name is. And the company answers to me. The managers shifted uncomfortably. One cleared his throat. Think we should reschedule this discussion. Jessica glared at him. But they were already gathering papers, slipping past me one by one. When the door shut, it was just us. Jessica's voice dropped to a hiss. You're ruining everything. Why couldn't you just stay invisible? I met her eyes. Because invisible doesn't save a company. And it certainly doesn't save you from yourself. She spun away, clutching her phone tight. I don't need saving. I walked out without another word, letting the silence weigh on her. Later that night, my phone buzzed again. A number I recognized this time, Alan, the company's chief financial officer. Mrs. Carter. His voice said, steady and calm. We need to talk. Privately. We met at a quiet diner away from downtown. The place smelled of coffee and fried eggs. The booths cracked from years of use. Alan slid into the seat across from me, setting a thin file on the table. You should see this, he said, pushing it forward. I opened it. Line after line of expenses. Flights, hotels, dinners, all under Jessica's department. She's burning through money like it's endless, Alan explained. And the board overlooked it because the revenue looks good for now. But long term? Unsustainable. I traced the numbers with my finger. She calls it building relationships. He shook his head. It's reckless. And if it continues, shareholders will demand answers. That means you, Mrs. Carter. I looked up at him. Jessica thinks she can block me out. Keep me in the dark. Alan leaned closer. She can't. Not unless you let her. You have more power here than she realizes. More than she wants you to realize. I closed the file. The pages whispering together. Thank you, Alan. He sipped his coffee. His eyes sharp. You're not just a shareholder on paper. You're the majority. Push comes to shove. This company listens to you. I leaned back in the booth. The hum of the diner filling the silence. My daughter thought she could erase me. What she didn't know was that the foundation she stood on was mine. Alan's voice broke through my thoughts. The press is sniffing around. They've caught wind of a silent shareholder. It won't stay quiet for long. I tightened my grip on the file. Then let them see. Alan nodded once. I'll make sure the right details find the right ears. We both stood. I slid the file into my bag. At the door, Alan glanced back. One more thing. Jessica's pride will push her to fight harder. Be ready. I watched him walk into the night, his words hanging heavy. When I got back to my apartment, I set the file beside the folder of my shares. The stack was growing. My phone buzzed again. This time a news alert. Rumors swirl about a hidden majority shareholder at Carter Industries. I stared at the headline, the glow lighting up the small room, as a faint smile tugged at the corner of my mouth while the screen refreshed and more notifications began to pour in. By morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Emails, missed calls, headlines lighting up every news app one had. Mystery majority shareholder of Carter Industries revealed. Who really holds the power behind the company? Silent stakeholder steps into the light. Each article had the same photo, me at the last board meeting, sitting at the long table with my folder open. My face caught mid-sentence. I hadn't spoken to a single reporter. Alan must have leaked it. First, I thought about ignoring it. But then the calls started coming from neighbors, from old friends, even from my landlord. Margaret, is it true? You own Carter Industries? I gave the same answer each time, yes. It's true. By the time I walked outside, cameras were waiting at the curb. Flashbulbs popped. Voices shouted. Mrs. Carter, how long have you been the majority shareholder? Why did you stay silent until now? Are you planning to take over the company? I kept my chin high. My voice steady. No comments today. But the photos spread anyway. Me standing in the morning sun, briefcase in hand, shoulders square. By noon, the company's PR team sent an email to all staff. We confirmed that Margaret Carter is a majority shareholder. She has always supported the company's vision and will continue to do so. The office buzzed. Colleagues whispered in hallways. Some sent congratulatory notes. Others stayed silent, nervous about taking sides. Jessica, didn't stay silent. She stormed into my apartment that evening, slamming the door behind her. Her heels clattered against the floor as she marched up to me, phone in hand. What the hell did you do? I stayed seated, sipping tea calmly. I didn't do anything. The press found out. Her voice pitched higher. Don't lie to me. You wanted this. You wanted them to see you. Not me. I set the cup down. I wanted the truth out. She waved her phone in my face. The screen glowed with a headline. Mother of rising executive holds more power than her daughter. Her voice cracked. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is for me? My coworkers think I only got promoted because of you. I met her eyes. Didn't you? Her face flushed deep red. I earned it. You did. I admitted. But you didn't do it alone. And you've spent every chance you had erasing me. Maybe now people will remember I exist. She stepped closer, trembling with rage. I don't need you. I don't want you in my world. You've destroyed everything. Before I could answer, voices rose outside the door. Reporters. Mrs. Carter. Mrs. Carter. Can we ask you a few questions? Jessica. How does it feel working under your mother's ownership? Jessica froze, her eyes wide. I stood and walked to the door. She hissed, Don't you dare open it. But I did. Flashbulbs blinded us. Microphones thrust forward. Mrs. Carter, will you be taking a more active role in the company? Jessica, were you aware your mother was the majority shareholder? Is there conflict between you two? Jessica's voice cracked. No comment. I stepped forward. My tone steady. I support this company. I always have. My daughter has worked hard. But the truth is out now. I am the majority shareholder. That won't change. The reporters shouted louder, scribbling notes. Jessica's face drained of color as one shouted the next question. Jessica, do you think your promotion was earned? Or gifted? The microphone swung toward her. She opened her mouth, her lips trembling. But no sound came as the cameras kept flashing in her face. The boardroom was louder than usual. Reporters crowded the lobby downstairs, cameras flashing every time an executive walked in. By the time I reached the meeting floor, the hum of conversation spilled into the hallway. Inside, the directors sat stiff, papers stacked neatly, eyes darting between me and Jessica. She was already there, her hair perfect, her smile forced. But I could see the panic flickering underneath. The chairman cleared his throat. Let's address the matter head-on. Mrs. Carter, your role as majority shareholder is now public knowledge. The market has reacted positively. Our stock ticked up 3 points overnight. Investors are reassured. Murmurs of approval floated around the table. Jessica leaned forward quickly. With all due respect, we can't let publicity dictate company direction. Yet, the market likes a good story. But day-to-day leadership still falls to those of us running departments, not shareholders who haven't been involved. I kept my voice calm. Jessica, shareholders set the vision. Executives carry it out. Both matter. And I haven't been involved because I trusted the people running things. Now I see I need to pay closer attention. Her smile faltered. You're making it sound like I can't do my job. One director muttered. Your expenses suggest as much. Jessica's head snapped toward him. What's that supposed to mean? I slid a sheet of paper across the table. Flights, dinners, hotel suites, all under your budget. The room stilled. Jessica grabbed the paper, her hand trembling slightly. That's standard business practice. Ellen, the CFO, spoke up from the far end. Not at that scale. We flagged it last quarter. It's excessive. The chairman frowned. Excessive spending erodes trust. Jessica. Especially now that the spotlight is on us. Her face reddened. This is unfair. You're all siding with her just because she's holding the most shares. I leaned back. No. Jessica. They're siding with reason. The room murmured again. Some directors nodded. Jessica's voice rose. You're jealous. That's all this is. You couldn't stand that I built a name without you. So now you're clawing it back. The directors exchanged uneasy glances. I spoke evenly. I'm proud of your achievements. But I won't stand by while you risk the company with reckless choices. She slammed her fist on the table. Stop pretending this is about the company. It's about you and me. Her words echoed in the room. Silence followed. The chairman's voice cut through. Jessica, control yourself. This is a board meeting. Her chest heaved, her eyes darting wildly. She sank back into her chair, muttering, She's ruining everything. The meeting continued, but the damage was done. Directors avoided her gaze. Notes were passed. My voice carried weight in every discussion. Hers faded. When the meeting adjourned, the lobby downstairs exploded with flashbulbs. Reporters surged forward. Mrs. Carter, will you take a more active leadership role? Jessica, do you feel overshadowed by your mother? Is there tension between you two? Jessica pushed past me, snapping. No comment. But the reporters pressed harder. One shouted, Jessica, did your promotion come from merit or family ties? She froze. Every camera lens aimed squarely at her. I stepped forward. Steady. My voice firm. My daughter earned her position. But leadership means accountability. We're all here to protect the company. The flashes popped again. Reporters scribbled. My words echoed through the lobby. Jessica turned to me, her voice sharp but shaking. Stop speaking for me. I met her gaze. Then speak for yourself. Jessica. They're waiting. The microphone swung back to her. Her lips parted. But nothing came out. The silence stretched. Heavy. Broken only by the rapid-fire clicks of cameras capturing every second as she stood frozen in the glare. The special meeting was called 2 days later. No reporters this time. Just the board. The heavy curtains were drawn. The air thick with quiet tension. I took my seat near the head of the table. Jessica sat farther down. Her posture stiff. Her eyes darting around the room as if searching for allies. The chairman cleared his throat. We're here to discuss the matter of fiscal responsibility and leadership accountability. Specifically, concerns raised about departmental overspending. Jessica leaned forward instantly. This is a witch hunt. Every executive here knows client entertainment is standard practice. I've brought in results. My numbers speak for themselves. Ellen, the CFO, shuffled his papers. The revenue growth is undeniable. But your expenses are double the industry average. That's a risk for us all. Jessica's voice rose. You're exaggerating. I slid a folder across the table. This is your expense report. Flights to Miami. 5-star hotels. Wine tastings in Napa. None of that closed deals. You're gambling with company money. The directors murmured. One of them, a silver-haired man, spoke firmly. We can't ignore this anymore. Jessica snapped her head toward him. You used to support me. He shrugged. Support ends when it threatens shareholders' value. Her eyes darted to the chairman. You're not seriously considering stripping my authority? The chairman's expression stayed grave. We must consider a vote of censure. And possibly reassignment of departmental control. Jessica's face drained. You can't do this. I spoke evenly. They can. And so can I. The room fell silent. Every eye turned to me. Jessica's voice cracked. Mom. I held her gaze. I hold 41% of this company. That means I hold the swing in any vote. And today, I will use it. Gasps rippled around the table. Jessica's lips parted. Shock freezing her. The chairman cleared his throat again. All in favor of redistributing budgetary oversight away from Jessica Carter's department. Raise your hands. Hands lifted. One after another. 5, 6, 7. Jessica's eyes darted wildly. No. You can't please? Listen. I raised my hand. The 8th. The deciding vote. The chairman nodded. Motion passes. Jessica shot up from her chair. Her voice shaking. You betrayed me. I kept my voice calm. No. You betrayed the company. I just made sure it survives. She turned toward the directors. Desperate. You'll regret this. You need me. One director replied coldly. Not as much as we need stability. Jessica's fists clenched at her sides. Her breath coming fast. You can't push me out. This is my career. My life. Alan interrupted quietly. And it's still yours, Jessica. But not unchecked. That ends today. Her eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. She spun toward me, whispering harshly. How could you? I'm your daughter. I leaned forward just enough for her to hear. You pushed me out of my home, Jessica. But this house, the company, you don't get to lock me out of. She shook her head violently, her chair scraping back as she stumbled toward the door. The chairman's voice followed her. Meeting adjourned. Jessica shoved the door open, the sound echoing down the hall. As I closed my folder slowly, the weight of silence pressing heavy while the directors turned their eyes back toward me, waiting for my next move. The lobby was packed. Employees streamed out of elevators, crossing the marble floor with coffees and files in hand. Voices buzzed. Footsteps echoed. I stepped out of the boardroom, folder tucked under my arm. Conversations dropped as people noticed me. Heads turned. Whispers spread like sparks catching dry grass. Jessica came storming down the stairs a moment later, her heels striking hard against the steps. Her eyes were red, but her jaw was set. She shoved past two assistants and pointed straight at me. You think you've won? Her voice cut through the lobby. Everyone froze. I turned slowly. This isn't about winning, Jessica. She stalked closer, her voice rising. Yet, it is. You humiliated me in front of the board. You took everything I worked for. You've ruined me. Employees exchanged glances, whispering. Phones slid out of pockets. Cameras ready. I held her gaze. I didn't ruin you. You did that yourself. She let out a bitter laugh, loud and sharp. Do you hear yourself? You're nothing but a bitter old woman who couldn't stand to see her daughter succeed. So you dragged me down with you. Gasps rippled across the lobby. I stepped closer, my voice low but clear. Dragged you down? Jessica. I carried you. Every step of the way. Every bill paid. Every door opened. And when you locked me out of your home, you forgot one thing: this company is my house. The crowd murmured louder. Phones pointed at us from every angle. Jessica's lips trembled. You're lying. You can't just claim it. I raised my folder high, the company seal visible on the front. Majority shareholder. 41%. I don't just claim it. I own it. The lobby erupted. Some employees clapped. Others gasped. The hum of voices swelled until it felt like a wave crashing over us. Jessica shook her head violently, her voice cracking. No. You can't. This is supposed to be mine. I leaned in, my words sharp enough for everyone to hear. Remember this, Jessica. You pushed me out of your house. But in this building, I decide who stays and who leaves. Her breath hitched, her eyes wide. As the cameras clicked and employees whispered louder, their stares fixed on me while she stood frozen in the center of the lobby, her mouth opening but no words coming out.